What's up, everybody? You have found our very special podcast here from thelines.com for the Academy Awards. That is right. In some of the states around the country, it is actually legal to bet on the Oscars. My name is Stephen Andress, managing editor of thelines.com, joined by our special contributor for the Academy Awards and all things Oscars odds, Alex Jacob. You know him as one of the great all-time contestants on Jeopardy, also former ESPN US Poker champion as well. Alex, great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Stephen.
So for those that have not been following along at thelines.com, you've missed a lot over the past month here when it comes to Academy Awards odds. Alex has been documenting the full series of award shows leading up to the Oscars on Sunday, March the 12th, 8 p.m. on ABC to watch the Oscars this year. And there's a lot that goes into this. So at first, we're going to start with a little rapid fire 6-pack of questions here to kind of get everybody set. Here's some of his favorite bets, and then we'll go into a little bit more depth on some of the big award categories for the Oscars and how handicapping the Oscars is a process, not just the week of, but in the month leading up to it with all the other award shows. So let's get started here. 6-pack rapid fire segment here for you, Alex. Let's start with your favorite Oscars bet on the board right now.
This is so tough because it's such a tough year, and there are so many that that means there's open races in a lot of places. But okay, we're doing rapid fire. I'll say Cate Blanchett because I've just felt like she is one of the best actresses of her generation in what so many people are saying is the best role of her career, and I've just been locked in on her winning the whole time. Now that Michelle Yeoh has won the SAG and a lot of momentum is seemingly on her side, the price is a lot more favorable for Blanchett. So I still think she's going to win. So you can get her at a pretty good price right now. So I'll say that.
I like it. We'll go into the specific odds here in a minute, but let's keep these questions going. Favorite upset pick for the Oscars this year?
I will say Elvis in cinematography, which last I checked was a plus 300 or 400. And the thing about that is no woman cinematographer has ever won this award. And Mandy Walker for Elvis could be the first. Now, the American Society of Cinematographers, the ASC, gave their top prize to Mandy Walker of Elvis. And I thought that was very telling because that was the first time they had also awarded a woman for their top prize. And right now, All Quiet on the Western Front is the favorite, but it's a little bit of a weak favorite, in my opinion, because really the whole season we thought Top Gun Maverick was going to be the pick there. But I think there's an opportunity for Elvis because All Quiet was not nominated by the by the ASC, and for the last 15 years, the winner in that category has been nominated. So probably should have been a little faster with these rapid fire answers, but I'll try to speed up on the next ones.
That's all right. I don't think you're breaking any speeding limits this today or this week leading up to the Oscars. That's for sure. But you know what? The insight is good. We need reasons here, right? We can't just blind bet some of these. But I asked you a favorite upset pick. You gave us a good solid plus 330 there, maybe to upset a minus 500 favorite. Here's a little variation on that question. The biggest long shot you think that has a chance to win. You're not saying they're necessarily going to win, but the longest odds on the board that actually has a theoretical chance to pull this off.
I was looking at this and I pinpointed, and I think this seems mispriced to me, is Everything Everywhere All at Once in Best Original Score. A score is often a category that it helps to be in a Best Picture, to be a Best Picture nominee. And I don't know, I just think that maybe what you vote for the music is very tied into your enjoyment of the film, possibly. And it seems like usually good films win this category. And Babylon has been the presumed front runner, but it's a little vulnerable because it's lost 2 different times now at the Critics' Choice and at BAFTA. And I think All Quiet on the Western Front has a memorable score and is going to win that. But Everything Everywhere All at Once was like a plus 2,800, and it's an unconventional score, but it's quite memorable, and it's a good score, I think. And I think if we see a big sweep win for Everything Everywhere All at Once, that could easily be carried along with it, because I could easily see people thinking, well, there's my favorite movie. Let's just check it off. The music was pretty good, so why not? So also, it's a band that which is kind of a different thing. It's a band, Sun Lux, that did the score for that movie. So they might feel maybe a little hip making that pick. It's possible. So at a plus 2,800, I think it's worth a flyer.
I like it. In your article, you picked All Quiet on the Western Front to win this category for best original score at plus 175. But, to use kind of a golf betting phrase, you're going to sprinkle a little bit on a bigger long shot here. So you could kind of split that unit up. And if you happen to get Everything Everywhere All at Once, you're going to get a pretty solid payday there. So you can find Alex's article at thelines.com right now, or you can follow him on Twitter at whoisAlexJacob. You can find his article there as well. A couple more here in the six pack for you, Alex. Next one up, your favorite movie of the year overall. Like, forget about all the odds. What movie did you like the best this year?
This is tough because this is a great year. I thought there were a lot of great movies, and I'll say Triangle of Sadness. I was really blown away by that one. Not for everybody, especially not for the squeamish.
It's a comedy, right?
It is, but there's if you've seen it, you know why I say that, but I won't spoil anything. You know what? Some of the animated movies were really good, and I'm a fan of animated movies, but this year in particular, I thought that was a really good category. I really liked Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Okay.
For a spinoff of the Shrek series, for a sequel to Puss in Boots, I'm telling you, I had no right to be as good as it was. And if you check out that movie, you'll see what I mean. It's really good.
Listen, man, as a father of a toddler at home here, I appreciate the animated movie recommendations here, because every once in a while you need one, man, for a break. Every once in a while. So next question, your favorite performance of the year. You said Cate Blanchett a little bit earlier is your favorite bet. Does that correlate because you thought it was your favorite performance of the year as well, or is there somebody different?
She's up there. Yeah, she could be. I guess I'd also say Brendan Fraser. I mean, I actually didn't get to see that movie until long after I'd already, written the article and predicted him and all this stuff. So I can say that my analysis is not colored by this, but it was nice to get the confirmation after finally seeing it that, yeah, it was a really great performance, and all these, critical raves and all the support from the industry is not just purely on narrative. This is really the real deal performance. And I gotta tell you, Stephen, it got me a little bit. If you watch that movie, it's an emotional one.
You need a box of tissues on standby for the whale?
Absolutely.
I mean, I saw like a 2-minute clip of it. I was reaching for the box of tissues, man. I got to go see this movie. It looks pretty good. So, and as you termed it in your articles, the Renaissance is in full swing here. So I love it. Final six pack question here. Will Top Gun Maverick, the greatest sequel in cinematography and cinematic history, will it win at least one Oscar? Give me one, Alex.
The one that it looks poised to win is best sound, but you never know. All Quiet on the Western Front is in that category. War films do well there, and I didn't even mention this in my article, but music films do well in the sound category too. I mean, it's possible Elvis, if we really see an overperformance, if they really love Elvis, I could see a world where Elvis takes that. Probably very unlikely, but it looks like best sound could be the one. Has a shot at editing too, I would say. Historically, a lot of times sound and editing go together. The thing is, this season we just happen to have this movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that's kind of really built on the editing, and it's just been steamrolling and winning editing awards everywhere all at once. So that it looks like it can't be stopped in that category. So it looks like it's not going to be editing for Top Gun. Screenplay, it's also in, is the other one it has a chance in potentially, but it seems like it would really be behind The Favorite, Women Talking, and even All Quiet on the Western Front is probably in second there. So I'd say best chance is definitely sound, and it looks, I think it's a solid favorite there, but there's a chance it goes home empty-handed. Yeah, and I don't think the Academy wants to see that because Top Gun I feel like is kind of seen like the movie that saved cinema, that they call it. And there was this big viral moment of Steven Spielberg telling Tom Cruise, you saved our asses and all this stuff. So I do think they want to see it rewarded. It could even see it do more than the sound, but I think it'll probably take best sound.
It would certainly be an appropriate award just from my own personal experience with the Top Gun franchise. I remember when I was a kid when the first one came out, and my dad's friend had just purchased this brand new state of the art surround sound system, this amazing new home theater technology. And the first movie they watched on it was Top Gun. So you can hear the fighter jets flying from one speaker to the other. What better award for Top Gun Maverick to win than best sound? Because that was, so much fun to watch for both the original and the sequel as well. So let's transition now, Alex, to a little bit more in-depth look at some of the big categories that everybody looks forward to every Oscars season. But before we get into Best Picture and the Best Actor and Actress awards and Supporting Actor and Actress, give us a little bit of insight here about your process. As I mentioned at the top of the podcast, there's a lot that goes into this, right? This is not just you watching some movies a week before the Oscars. There's a big awards process in Hollywood, not just with the Academy, but a lot of other entities as well that help shape the Oscars odds as we get now here to less than a week away from the Oscars. So pull the curtain back a little bit and tell us a little bit about your process here in handicapping this.
Sure. Well, it basically starts at the beginning of the year with, all these various critics groups eventually end up giving their awards, and that kind of creates a consensus on who the kind of critical favorites to win the various categories are. And then eventually we get into award season, and the two big televised awards that are kind of made up of journalists are the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice. The Critics' Choice being the big critics organization. Golden Globes is the Hollywood Foreign Press, and those are kind of the two that kind of give us kind of start the perception of what could be our Oscar winners. But it could be it's also deceiving sometimes because these groups don't have overlap with the actual people who are going to be voting on the Oscars. So the Oscars are voted by the Academy, who are members of the film industry. So these are kind of a different set of people kind of setting the tone. And then eventually the British Academy, BAFTA, has their awards. So that's really a big one because there's a lot of overlap with the British Academy and the Academy for the Oscars.
Same voters, you mean when you say overlap?
Right, exactly. A lot of the people in the British Academy are also in the Academy that votes on the Oscars. So a lot of times you'll see some of those winners translate over. And then the other big award is the Screen Actors Guild, which is the actors are the biggest branch of the Academy. So in the Screen Actors Guild is a huge group of American actors, and it's they've kind of added all sorts of TV and even some influencers and stuff like that. But it's this massive group of over 100,000 people. The Academy is less than 10,000 people, but this gives you an idea of where the actors kind of are. And like I said, they're the largest branch of the Academy. So, you put all these pieces together of what the results are at all these different award shows. And then there's also each of the various categories has their own separate guild. So, the makeup artists have their own guild, and the costume designers have their own guild, and the production designers have their guild, and they're all deciding what they think is going to win all these categories. And each of these places have different historical accuracy, as far as some are better than predicting the Oscar than others. For instance, the Directors Guild has been super accurate, and just when you win the Directors Guild Award, you often like 90% of the time are in that area, end up winning the Best Director Oscar. So for instance, this year when Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert won that for Everything Everywhere All at Once, you saw the line for them as the directors, they went to a huge favorite, and that race was like already declared over. Other places are not as accurate, and you kind of have to, end up looking at all these charts of like, okay, this person won this, and did they win the Oscar? And then, well, okay, this person won this, and that time they won. Well, okay, but this person lost, and they won here and there, and it's interesting, and just you could just kind of try to look at who has the win package that's going to most likely indicate, the support from the Academy that's going to result in them winning the Oscar. So,
and if that quote unquote win package from the rest of award season doesn't necessarily match the current odds at some of our sports books, I'm guessing that may trigger a bet for you.
Right, exactly. And the Oscars lines are kind of interesting. It's
let's just get into them, Alex. Let's get into
Sure.
them. I mean, Best Picture is the culmination of the entire Oscars television show every year, but it's one of the least intriguing this year in terms of a betting perspective. Everything Everywhere All at Once has garnered huge acclaim, and several of the big categories they are huge favorites in, including Best Picture, where the film is minus 1,400 to win. Best Director, the Daniels are minus 1,200 from the same movie. And then obviously, our good friend from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom down here for Best Supporting Actor. Ke Huy Quan is minus 5,000 to win Best Supporting Actor, because he's won this award in every other branch of award season this year. So not much intrigue from those three categories. And I assume rightfully so, based on what you've seen in that film and those performances.
Yeah, those three categories: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor for Ke Huy Quan, those seem to be locked up, more or less. That's the general consensus. I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once is basically swept everything. Now, the one place it didn't sweep was at the BAFTAs, the British Academy, and it didn't actually do very well there. It only won one award, and All Quiet on the Western Front won their Best Picture prize. So if you're going to possibly look for a crack here where an opening, or possibly this movie could be vulnerable and actually lose, I think it's possible. I don't think they've really tempted us enough with the line. I think that I think All Quiet on the Western Front is something like plus 1,000 or something.
Yeah, if it was 11 to 1 at DraftKings.
Yeah, if it was something like plus 3,000 or 4,000, I might be thinking about it, because I do think that there's a very real group of people who don't like this movie, and we've seen it. We've definitely there's just a lot of anecdotal evidence pointing towards that. I've just seen a lot of people say this. It tends to be older people, but not always, and then just some of them can't get through this movie. Some of them don't get it, and with the preferential ballot, it's possible for if it's ranked low on a lot of ballots, and if another movie like All Quiet on the Western Front is number 2 and number 3 on a lot of ballots and ends up rising up, and it's possible that could happen, but I think the price would need to be better, because it's really looking like very likely, based on the massive support from everywhere across the industry besides the British Academy. And the British Academy still did give it one award, so it's not like they completely blanked it. But I do think there is a chance, but I think the price would need to be a little better.
So if those odds hold and everything everywhere all at once sweeps those three categories, we might be looking at a superfecta here as well, to use a horse racing term, if Jamie Lee Curtis can get home too from this same film in the best supporting actress category. And her odds have plummeted over award season here. Just a couple of weeks ago, you could get Jamie Lee Curtis at 11-1 to win best supporting actress. Now she is the second choice at plus 150. Angela Bassett from Black Panther Wakanda Forever is still the favorite at DK at plus 125. And then not too far behind is Carrie Condon from the Banshees of Inisherin at plus 225. This is one of the award markets here for the Oscars that really has some intrigue here. Not just two potential winners here, but three that we have to navigate.
This is potentially the toughest category, arguably the toughest category on the board. I mean, you've got three people with a legitimate chance. There was an actress race a couple years ago with Frances McDormand ended up winning over Viola Davis and Carey Mulligan. It's kind of reminiscent of that with a pure 3-horse race here, and it's tough to call. I'm feeling a little silly because I had counted out Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, I guess the betting markets had counted her out too. Like you said, she was at plus 1,200 or 4 or wherever she was, and that's because Angela Bassett came out of the gate, and like I said before, kind of Golden Globe set the tone, and they awarded her, and I think there was the sense that everyone was like, okay, we're on board. We want to see Angela Bassett win an Oscar. We love her. It's her time. Let's do this. And the Critics' Choice followed suit. And then she became a massive frontrunner in this race. But it may have been a mirage because she was not able to win at BAFTA. Carrie Condon from Banshees won that. And then, of course, at SAG, Jamie Lee Curtis just won an award that I would say most everyone was expecting Angela Bassett to win. It was kind of for her on a silver platter there, and she was not able to beat Jamie Lee Curtis. It could be an indication of just that SAG really loves Everything Everywhere All at Once, or maybe more likely that the support for Angela Bassett isn't quite there. Maybe some people, we thought it could come into play, Angela Bassett being in a Marvel movie, being in a Black Panther sequel. Is the Academy really going to want to give an Oscar for a Black Panther sequel for an MCU movie where people are kind of flying around on green screens and stuff? It doesn't. It's not the obviously it would have been a first. It would be a first if it happens, and it still could happen. I have her at number 3 at this point because she lost those last 2 prizes. And I think it's between Jamie Lee Curtis and Carrie Condon. But this is a tough one to call. I think the majority of people out there are actually calling this for Carrie Condon. But I've seen a lot of people predicting all 3 of these. And this is a tough one. You just got to go with God.
Sounds like a true toss-up, really. I mean, but I'll say this from a betting perspective. If you currently have the favorite Angela Bassett as the third choice at this point after all these award seasons have played out, and DK still has her as the favorite, then there's potentially an option here to just bet on the other 2, Jamie Lee Curtis and Carrie Condon, split your unit between it or double your unit between those 2. And as long as Bassett doesn't win, you're coming out with a profit here. So just one potential betting strategy here for this market.
Yeah.
If you're not totally convinced that Jamie Lee Curtis is going to take it and Condon still has a chance here. So I agree with you. It's by far the most intriguing award of this Oscars season with the way things have played out ahead of time leading up to the Academy Awards. In the best actress race, it's a 2-woman race here. We have Cate Blanchett of Tar at minus 165. And we also have, and please correct me if I'm mispronouncing her last name, Michelle Yeoh from Everything Everywhere All at Once at plus 120. Yeah. How do you see this one?
Well, like I said earlier, I think Cate Blanchett is going to win now, but I'm seeing all of the predictions come in for Michelle Yeoh. So if you're watching this and you want to know, okay, what are, the majority of people who are covering the Oscars who are spending time thinking about this, I'm just one person and I'm saying I think Cate Blanchett is going to win. But if you want to follow the majority of people on this, they're saying Michelle Yeoh because they think that she has the momentum right now after winning the SAG, and the love for her in that room was definitely palpable, and she's clearly just a beloved figure in the industry. The win would mean a lot for representation. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to see that, and I think a lot of people would just like to see her win. So I mean, she could easily, I'm not gonna, it's definitely, just like in a lot of categories, I'm not gonna be shocked if I'm wrong on this one, but I just think Cate Blanchett in Tar is just one of these all-timer roles. I mean, you've had people saying best of the decade, best of her career, and this is someone who's already won 2 Oscars and been nominated 8 times. And I just feel like it's too little too late for Michelle Yeoh, and that this prize has already been penciled in for Cate Blanchett in a lot of people's minds. And we'll just have to see. I'm betting on the love in the industry for someone like Brendan Fraser and Jamie Lee Curtis, but in this case, I think there's just as much, if not more, love for Michelle Yeoh. However, she's up against Cate Blanchett in Tar, so that's the difference. And I just think I just think she is undeniable this year. But again, I could be wrong.
So we've talked about a 3-way race for Best Supporting Actress. We've talked about a clear favorite, but not insurmountable potentially in Best Actress. Now we get the Best Actor, which, from following your writing this season, has really been 50-50 all along the way here. You felt pretty strongly about Brendan Fraser, but Austin Butler playing Elvis collected a lot of awards leading up to the SAGs, and then Brendan Fraser finally got the SAG award. So as odds sit right now, Brendan Fraser minus 165 at DraftKings. And for those watching later, we are recording on Thursday afternoon. So Fraser minus 165, Austin Butler at plus 120. That SAG award finally brought some confidence back for you on the Renaissance, to use your term. And I love that term, by the way. I don't know if you came up with it or somebody else did, but it's
yeah,
gold,
no,
man.
I think that's one that's out there. I won't take credit for that one, but he definitely needed to win the SAG to stay alive, because Austin Butler had won the BAFTA. That was the first big award with industry overlap. And if he had won again with the SAG, that's kind of ball game right there. If you win the BAFTA and the SAG, that's kind of a deadly combination, and has resulted in Oscar win most of the time. But they're kind of on even footing now, because Austin Butler won the Golden Globe. Now Brendan Fraser has a fraught relationship with the Golden Globe, so you could even discount that a little bit. But even we give him credit for that, give Austin Butler credit for that. Then Brendan Fraser won the Critics' Choice, so that's kind of a wash. And then Butler won the BAFTA, Fraser won the SAG. So it kind of comes down to, who do you trust more, BAFTA or SAG? And the other thing is, I'll make the same disclaimer, is that I've seen the predictions come in for Austin Butler. So if you want to know who the majority of people following this, I'm somewhat out on a limb here, even though it's kind of interesting that Brendan Fraser remains the Vegas favorite, because I'm telling you, I'm reading all these predictions, and all these other people covering this are saying that Austin Butler is going to win. And I'll tell you why they believe that, because Austin Butler is in Elvis, which is nominated for Best Picture, and The Whale is not nominated for Best Picture. Now, historically, you have to go back to Jeff Bridges for Crazy Heart some 15 years ago to find the last time that someone won Best Actor that's not in a Best Picture nomination. However, I think, a lot of people, that is definitely an advantage. And the other advantage that Austin has is that he's playing Elvis, and that the Oscars love people playing real life people. I think they feel like they can kind of compare you to what they remember of the real life figure. And this, did you get it right? And I think a lot of people do think Austin Butler nailed it in that respect. And so that is a bit of a leg up too. So for those two reasons, I think are the main reasons why the main logic why most people are predicting Austin Butler to win this. I just think narratives can be very powerful at the Oscars. And I think that Brendan Fraser's comeback story here, I think there's a lot of goodwill behind him. I think he's been such a lovable persona on this campaign trail. I just think that the industry wants to see him win. He got a great response at the SAG Awards too. Some of his speeches have been really emotional. I think they're going to pull on some heartstrings. And
great speech at the SAG by Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, absolutely, and the Critics' Choice too. And the Oscars haven't given out a lot of awards to young actors, especially heartthrob types. And they resisted awarding people like Leo and Brad Pitt for years, and Tom Cruise has still never won, and you could go on and on. Robert Redford never won an acting Oscar, or Cary Grant, these type of guys. And Austin Butler is kind of in that mold, and maybe it's silly, but it's possible that the Oscars are a lot of older male voters. Maybe, they like to vote for someone they know also, is the other thing. It's like, not only is he young, he's really kind of a new face. Mm-hmm. And, when someone like Rami Malek won this for Bohemian Rhapsody, he was already an Emmy winner in Mr. Robot, right? So people already knew him. He was kind of an established, respected actor, and people are just kind of meeting Austin Butler for the first time. Now, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they'll go for a discovery like that, but just in the history of the Oscars, it's even more rare on the male side than it is on the female side.
We'll close up with two more awards here with odds that are still very much up in the air. Usually at this point in Oscar season, the awards have a ton of heavy favorites, and we are fortunate this year to have a ton of categories that do not have heavy favorites. And one of those is Best Original Screenplay. Banshees of Inisherin is minus 150. Everything Everywhere All at Once is plus 110. So if you like the upset here, you're getting plus money. And your final prediction in your column is calling for the upset here over the Banshees of Inisherin. Tell me why.
Yeah, I'm surprised. That's the current line now, huh? So, I think actually I'm with most people on this one. I originally I did. This has kind of been a toss-up category the whole time because you've got. Everything Everywhere All at Once is kind of a typical winner of this category because a lot of times that you can replace the word best with most. So this is really the most original screenplay if you think about it that way, and it's such an original idea. And I think of movies like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and mind-bending movies like that. Often novel ideas get rewarded here, and then on top of that, if it's the best picture winner, we know there's a lot of love behind it. So there's really no reason it shouldn't win. Now there is a possibility, and this is one of the reasons why initially I did give the slight lean in my first article a couple weeks ago to Banshees. And I guess the markets still have them as the favorite, is that Martin McDonagh is very respected. His last movie, Three Billboards, was a contender, was maybe a top 2 contender for Best Picture. And this will be his 3rd nomination for Screenplay. And often the screenplay has been kind of a consolation prize where they say, you're not going to win Best Picture or Best Director. So, but here you can have Best Screenplay. So a lot of times, like Spike Lee won this for BlacKkKlansman, Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, and over again, these auteurs, these writer directors, often win this. I mean, we can maybe see Sarah Polley this year for Women Talking in the other category win this. Spoiler alert. I don't know if we're getting to that category, but,
you can find it in his column at thelines.com. You can tweet it over at Who is Alex Jacob?
Yes. Yeah. No, so yeah, I just think I think it is going to win just because Banshees is a little weaker than I initially thought. You know, it couldn't win on its home turf at the BAFTAs. It couldn't win the best movie prize. Did win best screenplay there, but didn't win the best film. So it shows it's a little weaker than maybe we imagined. Everything everywhere has just shown how strong it is. And the fact that it's such an original idea, and I feel like if there's so much love behind this movie, they're going to have to also, it only makes sense that they would also pick the screenplay for it as one of their favorites, because, you know, as their favorite, because the movie, you know, doesn't work without it.
Finally, let's wrap up with Best Documentary Feature, where Navalny is the current favorite at -250 over at DK. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed is +700, but what previously was the third choice has risen up to the second choice at +300 is Fire of Love. It's taken some money. It was +400 a couple of weeks ago. You've remained consistent here. This has been one of your favorite upset picks all award season. You've stayed with Fire of Love to pull the upset here. Give us your reasons why.
Well, let me say first that Navalny would totally make sense as a winner here. It is, it's centered around this political rival to Putin, who is poisoned and imprisoned, and if you're want to,
it sounds like.
Right, exactly. But the Oscars don't always go for timely, and they've been documentaries on the pandemic, for instance, and January 6th and stuff like this, and none of these have come close to winning the Oscar. I just think Fire of Love was the kind of the crowd pleaser here. It's backed by Disney. It's on Disney Plus. It's made almost $2 million at the box office, which for a documentary is a lot of money. And a lot of people have seen this. I've just heard just the word of mouth on this is just seems very strong. And I eventually watched it, and I just feel like it's more cinematic. It's more of a feel good kind of pick, which kind of goes in line with some of the recent winners. It reminds me of My Octopus Teacher a couple years ago, which was a Netflix documentary, Netflix nature documentary, and it's kind of split some of the recent awards. BAFTA picked Navalny, which is a strong indicator. But the thing is, could it be, a little bit of more closer to home there? The subject matter being, would Europeans, is this more of a European? Would they be more? Is this hit a little closer to home for them? Possibly got a boost there. So Navalny won 2 awards, the BAFTA and the PGA. Meanwhile, Fire of Love won the DGA with the directors and with the editors. Looking back at the history of these awards, actually, the editors had the best record and have called 8 of the last 10 winners. And the one that it didn't call, didn't actually win any of the 4. And the other one that it didn't call was actually called by the DGA. So all of 9 of the last 10 winners were either one of the 2 awards that Fire of Love won. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to win, but it does show that it's not been a sweep for Navalny. In other words, the timeliness of this has not been an automatic draw because Fire of Love has won some of these major awards. So the thesis that it'll definitely, there's no way it could lose because of the timeliness, I think might not be correct. Now it very well may win, because there may be people who check it off even regardless, okay, it's an anti-Russia, anti-Putin thing, I'm down for that. That's possible. I could be wrong on this. This is another one where, like you said, I'm on a little bit of an island. I'm not completely on an island. There are people out there saying that Fire of Love is going to win this. This is a legitimate 2-horse race. However, I would say the majority of people do think Navalny is going to win this, and it could. I just, I also felt like it's kind of a little depressing. It kind of ends with a thud. It kind of just ends with the guy getting thrown in jail by Putin, and he's still in jail. That's kind of the situation of it, which, I guess you could argue either way on whether that's, a positive or negative as far as it winning the Oscar. But anyway, sticking to my gut on this one. Could be wrong, but I've just heard so much good things about Fire of Love, and I feel like that is the one that when they're in the voting booth, they may feel like they're supposed to vote for Navalny, but I think they will want to vote for Fire of Love.
Hey, every good Oscars betting card or contest entry needs a upset pick here or there. And, Fire of Love at plus 300 is, I'm not going to call it a hot take whatsoever. You got the 8 of the past 10 trend here with the other voting block. So I like it. I betted on it myself. I'm with you on it. So we'll see what happens here. It's maybe a little bit of an early reward for us as we're watching the Oscars on Sunday night, 8:00 on ABC. If you have enjoyed the information and the research here, and if you've been listening, you know that a lot of effort, a lot of research and hours has been put into this by Alex Jacob. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, give him a follow on Twitter at @whoisAlexJacob to read his entire column. It is linked down in the description. And if you are finding this, and we are a sports betting YouTube channel here and podcast feed, but if you are just into the Oscars and want to bet on them, go to the column linked in the description, click on the odds in the column, and you're going to get a great sign-up bonus from DraftKings Sportsbook as well. Alex, it's been a lot of fun, man. I learned a lot reading your stuff over this Oscars season. I hope we can do some more stuff here in the future with you, man. It's been Absolutely, a blast. Enjoy the Oscars.
Yeah, you too, man. Good luck to us. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun covering the awards and doing my best to read the tea leaves here. So, if anyone following my or feel free to fade me. I won't be offended, but I hope I do good for us.
Chances are I'm not going to have a Sunday sweat in the Players Championship because I like to bet golf. So I got the Oscars to look forward to on Sunday night. So it'll be a good one. It'll be a good Sunday night. Thanks for watching, everybody. Best of luck with your wagers in the 2023 Academy Awards.